Okay, continuing on with our talk of Arizona's famous people. We're going to look at these bottom sections of our newspaper here. And of course, there's always a highlight on one of the counties and a highlight for Arizona wildlife. So we're going to go through these sections here together. And then there's a little bit more on one of the bottom pages that we're going to go through as well. So Arizona counties that we're highlighting this week are Navajo and Santa Cruz. So let's read about those. For our first stop this week, let's check out Navajo County with its county seat of Holbrook. Here's Navajo County right here, colored in, I think that's either orange or red, I can't quite tell. As you can see, the northern border of this county goes all the way to Utah. It covers so much land that part of it is in the mountain region and part of it is in the plateau region. It's the fourth largest county in Arizona and is home to 3 American Indian reservations, Navajo, Hopi, and Apache. Do you like being a tourist sometimes? Of course we do. Everybody loves being a tourist. It's fun going places and checking out new things. If so, this is a great place to visit. In fact, tourism is one of the main ways residents of Navajo County earn money. That's going to come up later, so we're going to highlight that. They also do a lot of coal mining and some manufacturing, and they're in the timber business too. So obviously with them going through 2 different regions, there's a lot of different opportunities for them to earn money in that county. For our final journey through Arizona counties, let's get as close to the southern border as we can without going to Mexico. Of the 15 counties in Arizona, Santa Cruz, that's this little itty bitty one down here, is the smallest of all. We're going to highlight that line there too because that's going to come up later, that it is the smallest of all the counties. Its county seat is Nogales. Now, Nogales, Arizona, there's also a Nogales, Mexico, and so that's a city that borders between Arizona and Mexico. Santa Cruz is home to more than 38,000 residents who are lucky to have such moderate weather year-round. There's also a lot going on economically. With the international border right there, that means the border between United States and Mexico, it makes for some unique business opportunities. For example, the Twin Plant program allows United States companies to transport their materials to Mexico duty-free for assembly or processing into finished products. After the products are ready to sell, they are brought back to the United States and duty is paid only on the increased value of the product. This helps companies make products for less money. What a smart place to have a business. Now this man here, Spencer W. Kimball, a religious leader, also another famous Arizona person. Here's another Arizona hero. His name was Spencer W. Kimball. He didn't start his own church, but he did rise to the highest leadership position in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormon Church. And I know we do have a few students that are members of that church, so this should be really interesting to read about this man. Spencer's parents were pioneers and farmers in the Safford-Thatcher area near Graham Mountain. He was known as a wonderful singer and pianist, somebody who plays piano, in his younger years. Friends in Thatcher still remember his fun personality. Spencer served the community in various civic clubs. At one time, he was the regional leader of the Rotary Club in Arizona. Spencer Kimball's deep religious convictions and dedication led him to eventually be called as the president of the Mormon Church. Once he said, "My life is like a pair of shoes to be worn out in the service of my fellow man." Spencer Kimball died in 1985. Now the question of this week is, when did women get the right to vote? And girls, you're going to want to pay attention to this one because this was important for us females. Women fought for the right to vote for years before the 20th century began. And women voting seems only right, don't you think? Of course it's only right because women have every right to be heard and have our voices heard in our communities and in our country. Voting is an important way for citizens of the United States to be involved in running the country, and women have worked hard right from the beginning to make this a great country. Women all over the country were given the right to vote when the 19th Amendment, so that's the part of the Constitution that allows us to vote, to the Constitution was ratified or officially approved into law in 1920. So men had been able to vote for a very long time prior to that, but in 1920, the 19th Amendment was added to the Constitution, giving women the right to vote. You're going to see both of these facts as part of your questions at the end of the week. About time, though, right? I mean, 1920, that was a long time after voting had already been established as a process. The amendment says, the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. That means that it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. If you're old enough, you can vote. Thank goodness, because women make up about half the population, so we should be able to contribute to voting. All right, this week's Arizona wildlife feature is on the black bear. This guy looks like a mean guy to me, although he is kind of cute. This brawny Bruin has a reputation for being fierce and mean, but black bears are actually not huge threats to people. At least they don't go hunting for people sandwiches. The only time black bears attack humans is when they feel threatened or if their cubs are in danger. However, it is not safe to feed bears. Some tourists in Yellowstone National Park have found this out the hard way. Black bears are about 80% vegetarian. That means they eat mostly vegetation, fruits, berries, that kind of stuff. Okay? They love berries, and some have become pretty good fishers. So they do eat some meat, but they are mostly vegetarian. Male bears can weigh up to 350 pounds, and females are about 150 pounds. Bear cubs usually stay with their mothers for about a year and a half before they're grown up. That's amazing. At a year and a half, they're considered grown up. That's crazy. I don't know any year and a half old humans that are considered grown up. When the female bears grow up, they usually stay in the same territory as mom. Male bears leave their mother's territory and search for new territory. Now, normally that is where we would stop, but we've got a couple more famous Arizonans that we are going to read about on this last page of the newspaper. So I'm going to scroll down here so you can see Cesar Chavez and Barry Goldwater, some more information there. Now, the one part of this article here that I'm just going to real quick highlight is this right here, that Barry Goldwater was known as Mr. Arizona. I'm not going to read this whole section to you because we read most of the important stuff about Barry Goldwater already, but you're going to see this fact come up at some point in one of your questions. So you want to make a note of the fact that Barry Goldwater was known as Mr. Arizona. But this guy right here, Cesar Chavez, was a really important man in Arizona's history. Cesar's parents were migrant farm workers in Yuma, where Cesar was born. Migrant means they came to Arizona from another country. At an early age, Cesar Chavez saw that his family was often underpaid and mistreated. Later, Cesar learned about a man named Gandhi who helped people in India gain freedom through non-violent ways. It was then that Cesar first considered helping these underrepresented people through strikes and other non-violent ways. Cesar organized and encouraged the immigrant people to form a union to stand against unfair pay and unfair working conditions. Cesar was able to win the hearts of millions by fasting or going without food for unusually long periods of time. During one fast, he went 36 days with only water. I can barely go 36 minutes without food. I don't know how he went 36 days. Another time, he marched 340 miles with supporters, waving banners along the way. Cesar believed that nonviolent protests, such as fasting and marching, would win in the end. He was right. One of Cesar's greatest accomplishments was establishing the National Farm Workers Association, which is now known as the United Farm Workers of America. So his greatest accomplishment, we're going to highlight that because you're going to see a question that's going to kind of trick you a little bit about what Cesar Chavez was most famous for. So we want to make sure we remember that it was this. This union helped win many improvements for farm workers like the ones Cesar knew. One of his strongest beliefs was that education could overcome poverty, and he dedicated his life to ending poverty among farm workers. When Cesar died in 1993, more than 50,000 people attended his funeral. That's pretty amazing, 50,000 people. That tells you right there what an influential person he was. He was very, very, very famous in the Hispanic community here in Arizona. He is still talked about quite a bit. All right, hopefully that will help you answer the questions at the end of the week. Everything you need should be highlighted and you should be good to go. Talk Talk to you guys soon.